have been probably Monday when we had the vote, and possibly they were there on Friday as well when we repeated the vote. But there were young people, teenagers, carrying signs with Mises's name, von Mises's name, demonstrating in front of the Capitol. But I marveled at the rallies. The people came, and one thing that was characteristic of the rallies was it was made up of a lot of people from different walks of life. All kinds of economic backgrounds, all kinds of religious backgrounds, and believe it or not, from all political parties. Because I would go down the list, you know, when I was sort of kid, and I'd say, oh, well, are any Republicans here? You know, oh, yeah, there were some Republicans. And the independents and the independents would cheer. And there may even be some Democrats here. And then the Democrats would cheer. And there would be Green Party people there, people who had in the past supported Ralph Nader. And I came firmly to the conviction that freedom is popular and freedom brings people together, and the Constitution is not divisive. And if we stick to that, we can bring people together and energize the young people. But a lot of credit has to go to those individuals and those groups that kept the spirit alive. And that's what I think the Birch Society has done. In these last 50 years, quietly but steadily, and under sort of difficult circumstances at times, taking a lot of hits, but yet sticking to the Constitution, teaching, education. That was the most important role, and it continues to be the most important role not only for the Birch Society but for all of us. It's education to understand why freedom works, how to defend it, making ourselves available, participate in the political process. And you don't have to get involved in running for office or supporting candidates, even though that's important. You can do it anyway. You can be teachers or get into the media and writing and all the different things. The important thing is the message. Now, I see what has happened over these many years that the Birch Society has done is just planted a lot of seeds. A lot of seeds have been planted, and they're coming to fruition. They're bursting forth. And therefore, we were able to tap into this sentiment. And this to me has just been wonderful. It seems like there always has been and always will be a remnant, no matter what is happening in society. The remnant holds the truth together, both religious truth and political truth. And that has been the important role for the Birch Society, is to tell these truths and make sure people know about it and understand it. And now we have another whole new generation. These young kids wouldn't necessarily have been exposed to the John Birch Society, but they are going to be interested. They're interested in these views. That doesn't mean they're all going to join, and they don't necessarily have to. But the message is key. That's what we have to do. We have to put it out there. And it is right. Not only because the message is right, but we have now lived for so long with the decline of freedom that we have been tolerant of that because we have been so wealthy. We have learned to be and conditioned to be a materialistic society. We were more concerned about the redistribution of wealth, and we have been so wealthy that it didn't matter. People didn't think about where the wealth came from. But all of a sudden now, people are realizing that we're getting near the end, that we aren't as wealthy as we once thought. We are now dependent on borrowing money, inflating the currency, and that things are coming to an end. And I think, and I said this on the House floor this very week, yes, they're very concerned about a liquidity crisis. And all we have to do is print more money and it's going to solve a liquidity crisis. I mean, it is so far removed from reality. What is happening is, and I said this very clearly, that this is a sign that the country is now bankrupt and people are recognizing it. And now what we have to do is restore the confidence in our system, restore the confidence in freedom so we can go back to work again. Because we can't live on borrowed money forever. Individuals understand this very clearly. I mean, if somebody overextends themselves, they get too much in debt, and the bank won't loan them any more money, They have to, if they are a moral person, they're going to pay off their debt, they're going to quit spending, they're going to go back to work and take an extra job and pay off the bill. A country does it a little bit differently because they wait as long as possible, but they inevitably will bankrupt the country, destroy the currency. This is a very dangerous period that we're living in, but at the same time, it gives us a grand opportunity. Now, I can assure you, and I don't think you will need much convincing, that we still don't have enough help in Washington. Believe me, we need a lot more help in Washington in order to pick up the pieces. But I am more optimistic now than I was 2 years ago. Not because Washington has changed, but because I have met so many people. How large the remnant is, the people have been out there. You can't count the remnant, but I saw the remnant. And the remnant is alive and well, and the young people are willing to listen. They understand it. I kidded in many of the rallies and would say, well, you know, we beat up on public education a lot, and it deserves to. But I'll tell you one thing, your generation has learned your arithmetic because you've added it up and you know you're getting the bill and you're getting a bad deal. The young people don't believe they're going to get anything out of Social Security. They know that, and they're frightened about it. And they know the wars are going on, and they don't look like they're going to end. And I took, of course, the position that Mr. Welch repeated in his speech here, and I was delighted to hear how clear he was about minding our own business and taking care of ourselves and defending this country and not policing the world. But the young people know they're going to bear the burden, the financial burden. And young people so often these days aren't joining the military because they want to go off and fight a war. Just think of the thousands of young unmarried women with children are in the military because they want a weekend job to make a couple bucks, and they pick in the reserves and Air National Guard, and they get sent over to Iraq and then potentially into Pakistan and Afghanistan, all these places. That's not what they want. I was most impressed and most pleased during the campaign because I took the licks from the audiences. I can remember in South Carolina when I was hit pretty hard when I talked about the non-intervention foreign policy, and there was a lot of booing and hissing that I was unpatriotic and all this stuff they accused me of. Yet at the same time, when we added up all the money that came from the active military and retired military, I was getting more donations than all the rest put together. Young people also know that there's still a selective service that they have to sign up for. And if we come up short on troops, the individuals in Washington would not hesitate to reinstate the draft. Now, if you want to talk about a vicious attack on personal liberty, it is the military draft. We should never have to have a military draft. It was exciting to see the young people come in, and I will inevitably ask them, what was it that attracted you to the campaign? Was there a specific issue, or was it something in general? And sometimes it would be general. Well, it's not like you were the only one telling the truth. That was, that was sad that I was the only one. But that's the only way they would say. Then they say, I'd like you to talk about the Constitution. And well, that is very good. So they had good answers. But sometimes it would be one single issue. But here we are. We're living in an age today where there's no respect whatsoever in Washington for the Constitution. When it comes to monetary policy, do we follow the Constitution? Obviously not. But what about going to war? Ever since World War II, there's never been a declaration of war. We go to Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and all the other smaller wars around the world. But Congress has been totally irresponsible.